Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel, and it is truly a battle for the ages. Holoflash versus Holoflash. Germany versus America. Production line perfection versus handmade artistry. That's right, in this video I'm going to do a shootout between my Harley Benton signature guitar with the Holoflash finish and the Badlands Holoflash. This was, I believe, the second run of the Badlands guitars. Both of these guitars have been really popular, but as similar as they are, they actually have a lot of differences. And let's get to the bottom of which one is better and which one you would like. Okay guys, so let's just talk about these guitars and then we'll get into some more sound demos so we can listen to the tonal differences and all that stuff. But yeah, these guitars, although they look very similar on the surface in terms of the body shape and of course the holographic Holoflash finish, these guitars actually have a lot of differences. For instance, the body wood is different. The wood of the neck is, they're both maple necks, but one is roasted and one is not. They have completely different fretboards. This one is ebony, this one is roasted maple. This one has 24 frets, this one has 22 frets. This one has inlays, this one has no inlays. Even when we get to the pickups and the hardware, there are still a lot of differences. This has the Tesla pickups, this has the Badlands pickups. Although they have a similar pickup layout, they both have humbuckers in the bridge. That's one place where they are similar. Even when we get to the bridges themselves, this one has a Floyd Rose 1000 series, and this one has a made in Japan Goto Floyd Rose type bridge. So there are different versions of the Floyd Rose design, but made by different companies. Also, look at these headstocks here. Reverse headstock, standard headstock. Which way do you want to point? Just pick one. Now there are two other huge differences with these guitars, and that is the price and the way these guitars are manufactured. When it comes to this one here, the Harley Benton, this is absolutely mass-produced, and it's made in a way which is like the peak of German efficiency, okay? The whole purpose of these guitars is a lot of bang for your buck. You get a great guitar with great features and hardware for an extremely reasonable price. Now this one here, this is very, very limited edition. They only made one batch of these guitars and that was it. And this guitar, in terms of the manufacturing, it had a lot more sort of personal attention, personal touch to it. Now, although this guitar was very limited edition, Badlands has just released a new line of guitars, which I talked about in a previous video, the new GX1 Pro models. So you can get a new Badlands guitar, just not the Holoflash finish one. Even when it comes to the finish, these are both these holographic Holoflash finishes, but this one here, basically, the way they've done this is there's one solid sheet of this holographic film material that they put on the body, and then they add the texture, these little marks and everything. The texture is added just with the silver paint and then putting texture in the paint. Now this one here, this is done by having a whole bunch of different individual pieces of the holographic film, and then you put them together in a way that gives it this sort of patchwork kind of look. And what's really cool about that is every single guitar, that they did this finish on, the finish is going to be slightly different. Now, you could say a similar thing about this guitar in that the finish is going to be slightly different on each guitar, but the differences are much more minor on this one compared to this one. So certainly this guitar, in addition to being more rare and much more limited edition, much more exclusive, you could say, it also has a higher level of uniqueness to it. If you get one of these guitars, chances are that the next guy that gets one of these guitars, it's going to look very similar to yours. Okay, and I've saved perhaps the biggest difference for last, which is, of course, the price. This one here costs about $500. This one here costs about 5 times that much. $2,500, $2,800, something around there. Can you see the price difference? Can you see that one guitar costs 5 times as much as the other one? Well, maybe not, but let's listen to them. Let's figure out if there's a big sound difference, because if one is clearly superior in terms of the sound than the others, well, that could make a big difference in terms of which one you want. So let's go ahead and get into the sound demo, and then we'll talk more about the guitars. Okay, now real quick, guys, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool guitars, and also staying up on all the latest news in the guitar universe, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's plug these in and listen to how each guitar sounds. Okay guys, let's talk more about these guitars, the sound, the playability, and which one's better, right? So a few things about the playability that I want to mention after doing the demo is these necks are actually quite different. This one has a satin finish, this one has a gloss finish on the back of the neck, and to be honest, the Badlands neck is noticeably thinner than the Harley Benton. And that's not to say that the Harley Benton has a thick neck, it really doesn't, but the Badlands neck is really, it's quite a thin, like late 80s, early 90s shred guitar neck. I mean, it kind of reminds me of like an Ibanez Wizard neck, but not quite as flat, less of a D shape, more of a C shape, a little more round. But it's very, very easy to play. Now, the setup also might have something to do with that, and it's probably not super fair to compare the setup between these guitars because, you know, I've had this one for quite a while. This one here has just been loaned to me for the video. It's not my personal guitar, so I don't know who has done the setup on this one, but the setup is very good, and I have to say the action on this guitar is lower than on the Harley Benton. So in terms of the playability, I think I have to give the nod to the Badlands. Now when it comes to the sound, one thing that's pretty noticeable is the Harley Benton Fusion Holoflash has hotter pickups. Part of that is because the pickup itself, like the bridge pickup, is hotter, but also this one here has a dual rail single coil sized humbucker in the neck position, whereas this one has the traditional single coil. So of course this one's going to be hotter and kind of a bigger, fuller sounding pickup. This one's going to be a little bit more glassy, more twangy, maybe have a little more character to it. But because of the hotter pickups, it's not so much that, it's not the playability, it's not that it's easier to sound good on this one, but these pickups with the hotter pickups, I think it makes the guitar sound a little bit more responsive to, when you play it. And part of that could just be that I've spent a lot more time playing this guitar because this is my guitar. This one with the different feel to it, that could be just in my head why it doesn't feel as responsive. But certainly the pickups here are hotter. Now, there could be something else with these guitars that's just a total deal breaker for you. Like maybe you don't like reverse headstocks, or maybe you don't like traditional headstocks. Maybe you have to have 24 frets, or maybe you prefer the sound of 22 frets being a little bit further away from the pickups. So maybe there's some specific feature that you absolutely have to have on your guitar, and that's going to help you make the decision between which guitar you'd like. To be honest, I think for most people, it's going to come down to the price and the exclusivity of the guitar. Because look guys, this one right here, they made these guitars, they made a small batch of them, and that was it, right? So if you want one of these guitars now, the only way to get one, if you didn't buy one from the initial run, the only way to get one now is off of the used market, and you're going to be paying top dollar for that. These guitars have held their value extremely well. So you're looking at $2,500 or more. You know, the original price basically is what you're going to be paying on the used market. This one here, yeah, you can buy a brand new one for $500. So can everybody else, right? It's a cool guitar, and they're continuing to make these guitars. I hope they'll make them forever because I think the guitar is awesome, and it's my signature guitar. But there's nothing really rare about this guitar. These are both great guitars. These are both great instruments. They're both well made. They sound good, and you can play whatever music you want to play with these guitars. Neither one of them is going to be a guitar that's going to prevent you from doing what you want to do as a musician. But are you the kind of person that wants something that is exclusive and rare and special? Or do you just want a great off-the-shelf option that's more of a tool for you to get your work done in music? When you're talking about the price difference, right? 5 times more than this price here, that's a massive difference. And I think if the guitars didn't have that difference in the rarity and exclusivity, then it really wouldn't be a fair match. In that case, I mean, no brainer, I would have to give the victory to the Harley Benton guitar, because it's like, well, yeah, this has some differences, it's a well-made guitar, and there's some cool things about it, But if they're both like off-the-shelf production guitars that you can just go in and buy, why would you spend 5 times as much? But because this was limited edition and there's a finite supply of these guitars in the world, and also the level of kind of handmadeness and personal attention that went into this guitar, that I think really does justify that high price. So guys, at the end, it's really just going to come down to your philosophy in terms of what you value about guitars. These are both great guitars, but they really kind of exist in 2 completely different worlds. So look guys, at this point, let me ask you, which one would you like? Which one would you choose? Or is there another option that I should be considering when I'm not? Would you go back in time and get one of those Kramer Night Swan guitars, one of those Kramers with the Holoflash finish? That's kind of, I think, the guitar that started it all for these guitars here. But between these 2, or maybe those 3 options, which one would you choose and why? Let me know down in the comment section below. Okay guys, thanks a ton for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you very soon.